Hello and welcome to the Child Care Assistant Application, CCAA, User Guide Overview presentation. During this presentation, we will walk through the applicant guide to the CCAA. This overview will show the personal and household information applicants will need to enter in the CCAA to apply for assistance. This knowledge will familiarize those providing technical assistance and child care eligibility staff with the application process. Access application. This presentation begins with logging into the CCAA portal. For additional information on the steps preceding login, please refer to the CCAA First Time Registration Guide. To access your application once you have logged into the CCAA portal, select the blue hyperlink for your application ID. Dashboard. The application dashboard shows basic information about your application, such as the date it was created and its current status, and allows you to take actions, such as withdrawing an application. Once your application dashboard loads, select Go to Application to continue to your application. Here you will encounter the first series of application questions. You will be asked if you want to register to vote or register to become an organ donor. These questions are optional. Select your responses if desired and then select Next to continue. Main menu. Your personalized dashboard will load next. This dashboard will show the status of all sections of your application and will allow you to navigate through your application. The first time you log in, all fields will say incomplete. You can navigate to different sections using the main menu or through the menu on the left-hand side of the screen. Each section of the application must be filled out in order, or you will not be able to access the next section. Information from the top sections will populate into other sections to aid in completing the application. On most sections, hitting Next will automatically save your work, but at any point you can save and return to your application at a later time. You can exit out of your application and return to your dashboard in the CCAA portal at any time by selecting the My Dashboard button in the top right corner of your screen. Applicant. This section requires you to fill in information about yourself, the parent/caretaker seeking assistance paying for child care costs. These are basic demographic questions such as name, date of birth, marital status, and primary language. If you have questions about what a section is asking for, click the question mark icon for more information. For instance, the question mark icon for race and ethnicity assures applicants that their response will not impact their eligibility. Once you have completed a section, select the green Save button. The section marker will turn green and the status will change to complete. The Next button also doubles as a save function while also moving the user forward in the application. Benefits. This section requires you to list any benefits you are receiving. Select the checkbox next to any benefits you or any of the adults applying with you are currently receiving. Any adult applying with you is considered a co-applicant if they are your spouse, the other parent, or another adult who is legally responsible for the child or children in need of care and lives with you. Household information. This section requires you to answer questions about the adult members of your household who are applying for child care assistance. This includes you, your spouse, the other parent, or another adult who is legally responsible for the child or children in need of child care and lives with you. These questions are about specific situations that could apply to you or your co-applicant. It's also where you include the reason you require child care. For instance, I will be at work or both my children's parents are in school. Household members. This section requires you to list everyone living with you, even if they are not applying for child care assistance. Your information will already be listed. Select the Add Resident button and add each household member, no matter their age or relation to you. There must be at least one child listed who needs child care services. Add the personal information for each additional household member and select Save. Depending on your selection for relationship to you, there may be additional questions to answer. For instance, if you indicate the person is your child, the application will ask if they need child care. If you answered yes to "Does this child need care?", additional required questions will display. This is the only section of the application where you must select Save. The application will not automatically save information about additional household members if you do not select Save. Important information. If there is another adult living with you who is either your spouse, the other parent, or another adult who is legally responsible for the child or children in need of child care, they will be required to create a CCAA portal login and sign the application as well. Be sure to accurately enter your co-applicant's email address. The co-applicant will receive a system-generated email message. If you submit an application and later realize the co-applicant's email address is incorrect, you will need to withdraw your application and begin a new application. Co-applicants. Important information. If there is another adult living with you who is either your spouse, the other parent, or another adult who is legally responsible for the child or children in need of child care, they will be required to create a CCAA portal login and sign the application as well. Be sure to accurately enter your co-applicant's email address. The co-applicant must have their own email address. The co-applicant cannot use the same email address as the primary applicant. The co-applicant will receive a system-generated email message. If you submit an application and later realize the co-applicant's email address is incorrect, you will need to withdraw your application and begin a new application. Your activity. This section is made up of the employment, training, and education sections. The employment, training, and education sections follow the same format. We will walk through the employment section here. In the application, the training section will come up when you've completed the employment section, and the education section will come up after you've completed the training section. For each section, select Yes or No to indicate if you need childcare because of that activity. If you select No, you can save and move to the next section. If you select Yes, complete the form for each section. You will need to provide the name of the organization, your daily schedule for a typical week, and the number of hours per week that you typically spend on this activity. To enter your daily schedule, you can either select the clock and scroll to the correct time or enter the number directly into the text box. Fill in the hours for each day you typically perform this activity. Overnight means when your shift starts before midnight and ends after midnight. If this applies to your shift, select the overnight box. If your hours are varied, you can enter what you worked over the last week or two and put the total number of hours you worked last week. At the end of the schedule, you will be asked if you performed this activity at a second location and can enter hours separately for that location, for instance, if you have a second job. If you, a spouse, the other parent, or another adult who is legally responsible for the child or children in need of child care and lives with you is about to start one of the activities the application asks about, additional fields will appear where you will be able to enter that information. When the employment, training, and education sections have been completed, the Your Activity section will display as complete. Until those 3 sections have been completed, your activity will remain in the yellow incomplete status. When you enter a co-applicant in the Household Members section, this section for their employment, training, and education will appear on your left menu, indicating additional information to fill out. Income. This section asks about any income received by household members applying with you. Select Yes or No for each question in the section. If you select Yes, then indicate who receives the money, the amount, and how often. If there is more than one person receiving this type of income, then select Add Another Person. You will need to enter this information about each person who receives each applicable type of income. For instance, if you and your spouse both receive unemployment, you will need to enter how much and how often you each receive that. You will need to enter this information about each person who receives each applicable type of income. For instance, if you and your spouse both receive unemployment, you will need to enter how much and how often you each receive that. Document upload. This section allows you to provide electronic copies of the documents to support the information you entered in the application. Select Upload and submit your documents. Accepted file types include PDF, DocX, JPEG, JPG, PNG, and Doc. If you are not sure what documents are acceptable, select the Examples button for any document type to see a list of acceptable documents. For example, types of acceptable proof of identification include photo ID, naturalization certificate, or adoption papers. Other documents not included as examples may be accepted and used to verify information provided in the application. The Child's or Children's Document section has a drop-down menu where you can select the appropriate child to match the document. Even if there is only one child listed on the application, you must select a child in order to advance to the next section. If you are uploading documents from a computer, select Choose Files, and your File Explorer will appear. Choose the location where your document is saved. In this example, it is saved to the picture's location. Alternatively, you can drag and drop files by opening your computer's File Explorer, navigating to wherever you have saved your documents, selecting on the document you wish to upload, dragging it to the light blue portion of your application, and releasing or dropping it there. You will need two windows open to do this, one for your file and one for your application. If you are using a mobile device to upload documents, select Choose Files and you will see the options to visit your photo library, take a photo or video, or choose files. If you have a physical copy of a document, such as a photo ID, you can choose to take a picture. Use a plain background, make sure to include the entire document, and make sure the photo is clear. Select Use Photo and it will begin uploading into your document. Once it has completed uploading, you will see the file name listed, along with the date and time you uploaded the file. There will not be a pop-up indicating the file is done uploading, but the file name and date are the indicators that it worked. Repeat this process for each section of documents you need to upload. If you try to complete this section without uploading any documents, a warning message will display. Specific documentation is required for the district to determine if you are eligible. If required documentation is not received, your application may be denied. If you are unable to upload documentation, reach out to your LDSS. Consent and Signature. This section will look slightly different depending on whether or not you have a co-applicant. If you are the only applicant, review the consents and notices listed here. Then, if in agreement, select the checkbox next to the statement, "I attest that the information I provided on this application is correct and complete to the best of my knowledge." Then select the Submit button. If you are the sole applicant, after you select Submit, a warning message will display. Make sure that you have filled out the application in full with the correct information and then select Yes to submit the application. Once you hit Submit, you will no longer be able to edit your application. The application will be submitted to the local Department of Social Services for processing. Once you have submitted your application, you should see a message indicating that you have successfully submitted your application. You will also see information on your next steps, and there will be a number you can call for additional help. Co-applicants/dual applicants. If your spouse, the other parent, or another adult who is legally responsible for the child or children in need of care and lives with you, both adults must sign the application. If you have indicated there is such an adult living in your household, your consents and signature page still requires your signature, but there is also the reminder that the second applicant will need to sign. Review the consents listed here. Then, if in agreement, select the checkbox next to the statement, "I attest that the information I provided on this application is correct and complete to the best of my knowledge." The information intended for the co-applicant will be in read-only format. Then select the Submit button. When you attempt to submit this application without the second signature, you will receive this warning message. This is an opportunity to double-check your co-applicant's email address. Once you hit Submit, you will no longer be able to edit your application. If you complete this step and later realize the second applicant email address is incorrect, you will need to withdraw your application and begin a new application. When you select Yes, your application will be submitted to the local Department of Social Services, but they will be unable to process your application until the second adult signs the application. You will receive this confirmation message. The second applicant will receive an email at the address you provided in this application. If the second applicant already has an ny.gov account, they will receive this email, which asks them to follow the link, sign into their ny.gov account, and sign the application. If the second applicant does not already have an ny.gov account, they will receive this email directing them to create one, followed by additional instructions for signing the application. Co-applicants will follow the same steps outlined in this guide for applicants, except that to access their application, they will need to select the Co-applications tab in their dashboard view. The co-applicant will need to review all the information entered in the application by clicking through each section of the application and determining if this information is correct. Once all sections of the application have been reviewed, the co-applicant must review the Consents and Notices section and check the appropriate box under the Signature section. The co-applicant cannot modify or edit any sections or information in the application. If, after 15 days, the secondary applicant has still not signed the application, they will receive this reminder email. If, after 15 days, the secondary applicant has still not signed the application, the primary applicant will also receive an email. The local Department of Social Services cannot process your application until both applicants have signed the application. If you are having difficulty, reach out to your LDSS office. If 30 days have passed and the second applicant has still not signed the application, the LDSS can start to process the application, but ideally both applicants will sign promptly. Or, if 30 days have passed and the application has not been signed, the LDSS may choose to mark an application as expired. If you are having difficulty, reach out to your LDSS office. If the co-applicant sets up the CCAA portal and locates their copy of the application, they can review all sections of the application. The co-applicant must review the Consents and Notices section and select the appropriate box under the Signature section. Co-applicants have 3 checkbox options for them to choose from. Like the primary applicant, they can attest that the information provided in the application is correct and complete to the best of their knowledge. The application will be sent to the LDSS. They can choose, I found issues within this application and would like it fixed by the primary applicant, at which point the 2 applicants must work together outside the system to have the primary applicant fix the incorrect information. Once that information is corrected, the application is sent back to the co-applicant for re-review. Or they can select the box that says, I do not wish to sign this application, and the application will be sent to the LDSS. The co-applicant will select a box, then submit the application. How to withdraw an application. If you wish to withdraw your application for any reason, including finding errors in the information you provided after submission, you may do so from your dashboard. Under the Action tab, select Withdraw Application. Again, this is the action that would be necessary if an applicant submitted an application but later discovered they had entered their co-applicant's email address incorrectly. This will generate a warning message. If you select Yes, you will receive a confirmation email. You now have the option of creating a new application. Note, you cannot start a new application when you have an application in process. Viewing a completed, expired, or withdrawn application. If your application is in either completed, expired, or withdrawn status, you can only view it via a PDF snapshot. From the application dashboard page, you will no longer see the View Application hyperlink, but in the Action column you can select a snapshot view. If you select Print Application, you will get a PDF of the application in its most complete state before being marked, completed, expired, or withdrawn. If you select Print Comment History, you will get a PDF of the comments and activity per section during the review phase. And if you select Print Message, you will get a PDF of the full history of email notifications sent to you. This section is about what happens if the LDSS requires additional information from you after you have completed your application. After you complete your application, the LDSS will begin reviewing and processing it for eligibility determination. If there are questions about anything you submitted, for instance, if it appears something you submitted is incorrect or incomplete, the LDSS may return one or more sections of your application. You will receive one email for each returned section. All sections must be corrected and returned to the LDSS. If that happens, you will receive one of the following emails. A. If something you submitted is incorrect or incomplete. B. If you need to provide additional supporting documentation. The email will direct you to your dashboard, where your application will now have a status of Action Required. Select your application ID to access your application. Select Go to Application. Any area the LDSS has marked as needing attention will now show in a red Action Required status. The reviewer comments box will provide details about what needs to be added or updated. Provide or update the information requested. You may leave a comment in the My Comments box at the bottom explaining how you changed your application. Select the Return to LDSS Reviewer box and select Save. You must select Return to LDSS Reviewer for the LDSS to receive notification that it is time for them to continue reviewing your application. Note: you will receive an email for each page the LDSS marks as Return to Applicant. If you log in to review your application before the LDSS has completed their review of your entire application, the sections the LDSS has not yet reviewed will be marked as yellow, incomplete status. This is in reference to the LDSS review, not your application status. Only the sections marked red Action Required status need your attention. Note: if you live with your spouse, the other parent, or another adult who is legally responsible for the child or children in need of child care but previously forgot to include them on your application, you cannot add a co-applicant through this process. You will need to withdraw your application and start a new application that includes your co-applicant as a household member. When you have addressed all sections of your application that are in the red Action Required status, selected all available Return to LDSS Reviewer boxes, and left any comments, you may need to attest again by selecting the I attest that the information provided on this application is correct box. Once all of these items are addressed, select Submit and the LDSS will be notified that your application is ready to continue being processed. Support and training. You can find updates to the I Want Help Paying for Childcare page at this link. You will also find quick reference guides to using the CCAA portal to assist you in applying for childcare. Thank you for watching the Child Care Assistance Application Portal Applicant Guide.